Laser sights increase confidence regardless of experience level, whether you're learning the fundamentals or overcoming aging eyes. Crimson Trace, making laser sights standard equipment. Visit crimsontrace.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. This is a reloaded version. We picked some selects for you for the holidays. All right, back with you. Tom Gresham, 866 Talk Gun, get you in here. By the way, you can follow us. Follow me on Twitter. I'm at Gun Talk, and you can see kind of what we're doing behind the scenes if you follow us on Instagram. Also, our Facebook page. Look for Gun Talk Media. Let's see, we're on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and YouTube, of course. Have all of our TV shows on there, including the First Person Defender series, which is phenomenal. You can learn so very much about self-defense with guns just by watching the First Person Defender series. You go, wow, that happened so fast. Wow, I never thought of that. Well, you mean, I see, he could have gone over that. Well, he could have, and I would. Exactly. That's it. And then you run it back and do it again. First Person Defender. It's on YouTube. Check it out. Hey, by the way, 866 Talk Gun gets you in here. All righty. Let's see here. I want to go to line 3. Glenn's in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Hey, Glenn, you're on Gun Talk.
Hey, Tom. How are you?
I'm well, thank you.
Just wanted to make a comment on the caller who said the person who shot the Texas church shooter had military training. Mm-hmm. According to everything I read, he didn't, because he made the statement he had no formal training.
Well,
whenever he went out to confront. I'm sorry.
I think probably the caller was thinking because he was in the military, he had training.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that if you're in the military, you have all of this advanced training, and not necessarily so.
Yeah. And, he even made the statement that he was going out the house. He didn't even think to put on his boots. And he said, I wasn't real sure what I was going to do when I got there. But he said, when I got there, I knew I had to do something to help. That's the big word, help those people.
Well, and I've talked about it before. He didn't decide to do that when he heard shots. He decided to do that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's when he decided to do that. And he has been through that situation 1,000 times in his head. That's how he was able to do it. It's why he could grab his gun and take off, because he had been there 100 or 1,000 times before in his head. It's a great point. I appreciate the call, sir. I want to jump over right now. I want to bring in our guest, Pastor Mark Neely from the Calvary Chapel in Tulsa. Mark, thank you so much for joining us. Oh, let's try again. Oh, we may have lost him. We're going to try and pick him up again. What we're talking about is, of course, Stephen Williford was the good guy in Texas. He's the guy who came to help other people. He ran toward the sound of gunfire. He knew that people were being shot. He didn't know the extent of it. He just knew that somebody is in a church and he's shooting people. And Stephen, barefooted, lives across the street, grabbed his rifle, and took off running. He ran across the street. I'm not sure if he crossed the street or he shot from there, but he saw the bad guy, saw this guy who was murdering people, shot him twice, I think once in the leg, and he slipped one round in on the side of this guy's vest. I still haven't gotten the details if this was a load-bearing vest or if it was real armor, protection, body armor. I think it was body armor, though. I think I heard a couple of reports. Maybe it was and had plates in him. Did Williford know to do that? I don't know. Did he luck out and slip around in there? I don't know. But the main thing is he was willing to do it. And as I said, he made that choice, not when it happened. He made that choice a year ago or 5 years ago. And like a lot of us, he's been there 100 or 1,000 times in his head. Now, we were able to get him back, Pastor Mark Neely from the Calvary Chapel in Tulsa. Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, how are you today?
I am well. Now, you are the pastor at the Calvary Chapel in Tulsa. Is that correct?
That's right, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Okay. You also have a serious and extensive law enforcement background, I understand.
28 years law enforcement, 23 years of that was on a SWAT team.
Okay. Well, okay, so you're the guy we need to talk to, because we've got people telling us, well, good people don't need to be having guns because you need to leave that to the police. You're a career police officer. You're a career SWAT. You are now a pastor. You're looking at this situation in Texas. And I'm, of course, just tongue-in-cheek, I tell people, I said, so find me somebody who was in that church who survived who would have wanted Stephen Williford to wait and make sure that it took another 5 minutes for the police to arrive. Am I looking at this wrong? What's going on here?
No, you're not looking at it wrong. It's sad what happened down there, and our hearts go out to the people there in Sutherland without a doubt. There's been a ton of killings since 1999. I think there's been 1,600 incidents such as this, somewhere around that number. 500, almost 600 people have been killed these situations. Some of them were stopped by armed citizens. I think of the man in Sutherland that grabbed his AR and ran down there and kind of saved the day, if you will. Mm-hmm. Had that someone in the church been armed, whether or not they could have stopped it, I don't know, but it certainly it would be a deterrent. The thing too is there's steps to take that we support before these incidents even occur.
Yeah.
People approach these with a reactionary attitude versus approaching these things with how can we prevent this from happening, or at least cut it off at the pass.
Right.
Yeah, we use what we call 3 R's. When I say we, I belong to a group. It's called Oklahoma Church Security Association. And actually, a man that I work with, an attorney Bill Company, has written a book on how to approach these situations, how to deal with these situations, not just armed situations, but any kind of killing situation, any kind of emergency, if you will, that could take place in a church.
Okay.
And the first thing I recommend is that we do what we call reports. In other words, we have to have eyes on the thing. We have to have eyes, somebody in the parking lot, somebody at the door that can see the parking lot, somebody that can have communication abilities, radio or whatever. Mm-hmm. So then we'll report. The next thing is, the popular thing in circles today is, what is it? Run, hide, or fight. Right. Well, that's fine. That's reactionary. Take that step back and let's see what we can do to report the incident. Let's see what we can do to have an eye on it. You see somebody in the parking lot that gets out of a car with a bag with a gun you haven't seen before, well, chances are we've got a problem about to happen, and so we can report that.
Okay.
Now you can take steps inside. You can remove the congregation. You can move the people. You can, with good communication, we can remove them from any potential situation. Then you can respond or react. When I say respond or react, if you have a trained person or personnel, I recommend at least 2 inside the church. And I'm talking trained, not somebody, concealed carry, somebody that I got my concealed carry and I'll just take care of business. Yes. The average person can't shoot worth a darn, unfortunately. So if this person is trained almost to a professional level, which is what we try to encourage and what we do, shoot at least once a week. You shoot a standard of shooting, a police qualification course or something. At least that way you know that what you're shooting at, you're going to hit. So 3 R's. You report it, you remove the people from the threat if at all possible, then you react. But then, there's training the ushers. There's you got to train the people to observe, to see what's going on. And you got to train the people, okay, how can we remove a person? Let's say you just have some nut job that comes into the church or into any business. You just need to remove them. So there's certain come-along holes. We have a person on our team that actually is third-degree black belt, and he teaches people basic, not defensive tactics, but, how do we remove a person safely? And then we can deal with the armed, so 3 steps. How to be an usher, how to remove somebody safely, and then let's talk about shooting. Then let's talk about arming ourselves, and then let's talk about training to a level that's competent
Mark,
and to deal with this.
And those are the kind of things that can be taught, and your security team at your church does not need to be made up of former military or law enforcement. Regular people can learn this, but they have to be trained and they have to practice.
Yes. Absolutely. They have to practice. That's the thing. Practice, practice, practice. Now, will a person train to that level? I hope so. I know I know people that have trained to that level. Matter of fact, I'm glad they're the good guys. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
They're on our side because they trained to that level and confident that they'll take care of business if they have to.
Well, I'm thinking about all the people. We got people in every church practically out there who are, for instance, 3-gun competition shooters. These are very good people. They know how to move fast. They know how to shoot on the move. They know how to differentiate good targets from bad targets, good guys from bad guys. Not that shooting competition prepares you entirely, but it's not a bad start.
No. I used to compete, and it keeps you honed. It keeps you sharp. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Yeah.
All right. So what do you say to somebody in a church or even a pastor who says, well, I just don't think it's appropriate for a church to engage in that type of thing?
That's an outstanding question, Tom. The thing is, I'm a pastor, okay? My job is to protect and feed my flock, or feed and protect my flock. I'm negligent if I don't take the protection of my folks serious. Seriously. Unfortunately, in this day and age, that means we need to train people to that kind of level, or at least have them prepared to deal with whatever in emergency situation. A choking incident. Do we know how to handle that?
Right.
But just today, I encourage people, okay, where are the exits? Let's go around. Where are the exits? It might be where they just don't like what I'm saying and they got to shoot out the door. I don't know. But at least we know that, but like I said, that's my responsibility as a pastor. And I know there are pastors, and there are probably pastors that are listening and say, no, we'll let God deal with this. God doesn't want us to be foolish either. Jesus told the disciples to take a sword with them when they went out. Mm-hmm. So, and what were they supposed to do with that sword? Not clean their fingernails. And so that's my approach. Is my job, first and foremost, is make sure my folks are safe.
And I would argue that God gave us the ability to protect ourselves, and to not do that is an abdication of our responsibility to ourselves and to our family and to our fellow man.
Absolutely.
Well, this is really good, Mark. I appreciate it. By the way, the book you mentioned, do you remember the title of the book? My mind just went blank. That's okay, because I put you on the spot at the wrong time. I tell you what, we'll think of it and we'll get it out there for people. But I know that there are outfits out there who are training churches and church members and putting teams together. And one other thing, Mark, address just for a second, if you would, the necessity to train as a team as opposed to just having people who have been through training individually.
Absolutely. The thought today is, okay, everybody just duck and I'll pull out my gun and I'll take care of business. Mm-hmm. That doesn't work. And because people are hiding. People can't hide. It's been proven over and time again that when people just hide, they stay in place, they get shot, they get killed in most instances. So the run, hide, fight thing, we need to re-examine that. But absolutely right. If people are trained and they work together, mm-hmm. you have much more success or potential for success anyway. When I was on the SWAT team, we didn't train as Lone Rangers. We trained in at least a minimum of 2 people, 4 people, 6 people. We trained in teams. So I knew what the guy in front of me was going to do and the guy behind me what he was going to do. Now, they didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew what they were going to do.
But 2 trained people are 5 times as effective as 1 person. Mark, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. From the horse's mouth, a pastor who was a SWAT team guy for 23 years. And there it is. That's the real world deal. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. 866-TALK-GUN. We'll be back in just a minute.
Colt National Match Ammunition, manufactured by Double Tap, is specially developed for performance and accuracy. Real match ammo, designed with competition power factors in mind. Colt National Match Ammunition by Double Tap Ammo. Available in stores now.
In the war on terror, fighting crime in the streets, in competition and homes around the world, one name in firearms stands out: Sig Sauer. Our pistols and rifles are renowned for their unfailing performance. This same commitment to excellence can be found in our line of SigTac accessories and the training offered by the Sig Sauer Academy. For unmatched quality, reliability, and innovation when it counts, choose Sig Sauer. Visit SigSauer.com today.
For more than 70 years, Timney Triggers has been enhancing the shooter's experience. Whether it's a local competition, a day at the range, or even the hunt of a lifetime, setting the standard in aftermarket triggers, Timney is now producing more than 170 models of triggers for bolt-action rifles, shotguns, AR rifles, and semi-automatic rifles. Proudly made in the USA since 1946. Find your new trigger at timneytriggers.com.
Perhaps more than any other landscape, wetlands embody the life-giving abundance that nature has to offer. And perhaps more than any other organization, Ducks Unlimited is working to ensure that our continent's wetlands not only survive, but thrive for generations well beyond this one. The time is now to band together. The time is now to rescue our wetlands.
Behind every revolution is a patriot. Just as this great country was founded on the ideals of many, the new Mossberg Patriot is the sum of all that came before it. Reliable, timeless, built to last, the classic American hunting rifle with a heritage forged over generations has come home. Mossberg, built rugged, proudly American.
Double Tap ammunition and Colt ammunition manufactured by Double Tap using top-of-the-line components made in the USA and hand-inspected. Choose from 481 loads in 82 calibers. Defense, hunting, competition. Double Tap.
All right, back with you. 866 Talk Gun get you in here. Robert's in Alaska on line 4. Hey, Robert, what's on your mind?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, up from your old stomping grounds, Fairbanks, Alaska, we had a real close call. There was someone who was about to shoot up something. It was June 19th, around the solstice time, when there's tons of people visiting up in Fairbanks. They're not sure what his target was, but luckily he had a little dispute in the Denny's parking lot with someone, and they called the police. And they tracked him down to a field, and they brought all the SWAT people, and they were able to shoot him down after he started shooting first. But he had there's a video I posted to your Gun Talk Facebook. He had full body armor, face armor. He had the AR-15 with a dozen magazines fully loaded. Mm-hmm. And he was ready to go. He had his pickup truck, the license plate duct taped over, and his wheels covered. He was ready to go attack something and then try to run for it.
Yep. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there are nut bars out there. There's no doubt about it. And I appreciate it's a good point. I appreciate the call, sir. I put out a little thing on our newsletter this week. I talked about by the way, I need to back up. When we had Mark on, we're talking about church security. There are places you can go with your church group and get training like this. Gunsight is going to have a church security class this next year. You might want to check that out, Gunsight, GUNSITE.com. But they said that if you can't make that, if you have a team you want to bring in there, they will actually set up a separate class for you. So, there are other places around that will do that. But in looking at this thing in Texas, I put something in the newsletter about the failure drill. When you go to good schools, you will work on the failure drill. It's also called a Mozambique drill. It's basically, and you've heard it before, 2 to the body, 1 to the head. What's that all about? Well, essentially, once you make the decision to shoot an attacker, a bad guy, whether he's attacking you or your wife or your husband or your child or someone else, and you've decided to get involved, or he's killing people in your church. All right, you've made the decision. Boom. No more decisions are necessary. You shoot until the threat is gone, right? I mean, that's the basic concept. You shoot until he's no longer a threat. We came up, I didn't, I wasn't there, and probably Colonel Jeff Cooper came up with it. 2 to the body, 1 to the head. Why? Well, because sometimes 2 to the body doesn't have the desired effect. Clint Smith says handgun bullets are like medicine. Sometimes it takes them a while to start working. True enough. Now that we have more ammo in guns, we might want to think about putting more shots on. But why would you start there and then go to the head? Because it's not working. And here's how the drill works, and you practice this over and over and over and over again. You don't shoot. We're going to get graphic here, guys. You don't shoot in the body and then wait to see what happened. You don't shoot and assess what happened. You have made the decision to shoot this person and stop the threat, right? Okay, we're comfortable with that. So you go bang, bang, bang. And basically you go to the torso, 2 shots, center of mass, and then up to the head. If the head's not there, you don't shoot. If the head's there, shoot. Why would you do that? Well, might be PCP. He might be so hopped up on something that, frankly, he's just not terribly impressed with the shots that are hitting the body. That happens. Could be that your shots to the body are not as accurate as they should be. Could be it's just taken a while for the blood pressure to drop and for him to fall down. And a while being microseconds, quarters of seconds. That's what we're talking about here. And so what you're doing is you're switching from the let's let him leak out, basically start bleeding out, drop the blood pressure, and he falls down, because that's how that happens, to we're going to shut down the central nervous system, which is the other way. You stop that. So you go to the body, you go to the head. And you keep working it, and if that doesn't work, you might go, another way to go is go down to the pelvis. Sometimes you can slip one below body armor. If you can break a pelvis, they fall down. Oh, wow, gee, that's an awful lot of gruesome stuff to think about. Yeah, no kidding. It's going to get ugly. It's already ugly. If you're there, it's ugly. But you need to have practiced it a lot. Could be body armor. Could be you're shooting into body armor and nothing's happening. Bad guys are wearing body armor more and more and more. It's another reason I want more than 6 shots, or 7 shots, whatever it takes. This is why we go get good training. This is why we go to places like Gunsight or Thunder Ranch and SIG Academy and VADA training and Tiger McKee and all the other good places that are out there these days, because they're going to teach you this stuff. They're going to teach you how to save your life, save the life of your wife, your husband, and your children. Is it important to you, or then do something about it? Hey, welcome back to Gun Talk. This is a reloaded version. We picked some selects for you for the holidays. All right, our magic number here, if you'd like to join us on the air, 866-TALK-GUN, or just heck with it. Just call Tom Talk Gun. A lot easier to remember it that way. Joe did that. He's on line 2 out of White City, Oregon. Hey, Joe, what are you looking at here?
Well, I'm looking at a R&R Targets Wright 12 shotgun. Robert Wright is an international shotgun shooter for the U.S., and over the years, he's built this new Wright 12 shotgun. It's possibly one of the fastest guns there is for 3-gun shooting, 3-gun matches.
Right.
Just wondering if you know anything about it or you've seen it.
I don't. In fact, when I saw the note pop up here, I went and Googled it, and it looks like it's a 12-gauge shotgun built on an AR platform, or at least that kind of form factor. Have you seen one?
Yeah, I have seen one, and it has adjustable gas recoil, but you can do that with it as well. And it's quite a nice shotgun for shooting those targets on the 3-gun slugs or clays.
Are you thinking about getting one?
I'd like to have one. Yeah, it's just how the saying goes. It's just one more thing.
All it is money, right?
That's it.
That's right.
Well,
hey, you can't take it with you, man.
Get in touch with Robert. He could tell you more than I probably, but
okay.
He's quite a gentleman. He really is.
Well, I appreciate the heads up. I am going to look this up. It's called the Wright 12, W-R-I-G-H-T, Wright 12 shotgun. If people want to Google that up a little bit, I'm going to take a look, and we're going to see what we can find out about it, because I am intrigued. It looks like it's very interesting, but I appreciate the heads up on that, Joe. Thank you very much. Let's go talk to Les. He's on line 3 out of Reedheimer, Louisiana, and those who don't know, that's in Natchitoches Parish, Louisiana. Hey, Les.
That is correct. By the way, as an aside, the first female police officer killed in Louisiana was killed by a fellow on PCP. And her partner shot him 5 times with a .357. The last time jammed the muzzle against the guy's rib cage, and he was still able to say, "Oh, you got me a good one then." But that,
wow,
that's not why. Yeah, it was in Baton Rouge, by the way. You can look it up. I was listening to the Kennedy show on Fox News, and she talked to a fellow named Brian Suits, who was an operator in Iraq, and she was saying, and she's pro-gun, she said, is there anything we can do to stop or ameliorate these mass shootings? He said, the only thing, people don't want to hear it, but the only thing is to have more people armed, concealed carry. He said, although you or I probably will never be in that situation, if enough people are armed, somebody will be there with a gun and be able to stop him. And you don't always have to kill them. Usually these folks are just out to shoot folks who are unarmed, and when somebody fires back, they usually run away.
Well, that's a good point, and I heard somebody this week say something that really struck home. He said, look, these are all suicides. At the core, it's a suicide. And look, I appreciate the call. It's very, very good information. And he was making the point, he said, look, think about this. We've had guns for a long time. We didn't have as many of these active shooter, mass shooting deals. What changed? Because it's that old deal of scientific experiment. Okay, some variable in this thing changed somewhere along the line. What changed? Because the availability of guns has not changed, and the type of guns we have really hasn't changed. We've always had guns. We've had semi-automatics. Heck, the AR-15 has been around for 50 years. I'm going to throw out an idea here. We used to, when something like this happened, the coverage of it was primarily local. It might make the national news, but national news was 30 minutes a day. That was basically going to be on TV and this is going to be a 45-second piece on the national news. There was no way to become famous doing that. But now we have nonstop 24/7 news where they're going to make you famous. They are going to make you famous. And so we have a competition to see who can get the biggest body count. I would submit that CNN and Fox and all the media that goes off schedule and covers this nonstop and makes this madman famous are simply guaranteeing the next mass shooter. They're giving him what he wanted. And they are tacitly encouraging the next person. And the amazing part is they know it because, in the old days in media, newspapers would not even publicize a suicide because they knew that coverage of a suicide promoted more suicides. Known fact. And now it's okay because, hey, it pumps up ratings. It's good for ratings. We make money out of this. We make money out of people dying. And the more people who die in these mass shootings, the more money we make with ratings. And we can sell advertising on it. Yes, I know that's cruel and harsh of me to say that. But am I wrong? What changed? What do you think has changed? Why do we have this? Why do people, when they want to commit suicide now, go do this? And they study all these other ones because they have all this coverage of it. And it looks like a grand and glorious way to go out in a blaze of glory. I would submit that our media encourages and facilitates and frankly guarantees the next one. So what are you saying, Tom? Should we clamp down on the media? Not saying that. Not quite. But I am just making an observation, and I would like to get your reaction to it. Do you think there's anything to that. Our number is 866-TALK-GUN. Be right back.
For tactical equipment for military, law enforcement, and shooting enthusiasts, look for the name Elite Survival Systems, creators of high-quality, intelligently designed products for concealed carry, discreet transport, and rigorous tactical uses. Elite Survival Systems knows there isn't just one method of carry that works for everyone. Elite offers a vast array of concealment products to fit your lifestyle, including holsters, belts, vests, pouches, slings, bags, backpacks, and cases. Find out more at EliteSurvival.com.
The Springfield Armory SOCOM 16 CQB is a serious package of .308 firepower with a long military background. 10 inches shorter than the standard M1A with the standard 10-round or the optional 20-round magazine. It's a thunderous close-quarters battle rifle that stops, fights, fast. Ghost ring rear and tritium front sights with a 5-position adjustable cheek piece. The SOCOM 16 CQB is ready for anything. Springfield-Armory.com.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
Every crossbreed holster is handmade based on the design invented by our founder. A Kydex pocket molded around your gun for perfect retention. Leather backing for comfort. Specially designed clips allow you to tuck in your shirt for complete concealment. The highest quality mag carriers and belts sturdy enough to hold any gun. Our holsters come with a lifetime warranty and 2-week try-it-free guarantee. Crossbreed. Conceal and carry the cross. Crossbreedholsters.com.
For 36 years, the U.S. Sportsmen's Alliance has been fighting to protect hunting, fishing, and trapping for sportsmen from coast to coast. Today, we are under constant attack from extremist animal rights groups who want to end your ability to hunt in the U.S. Join us to protect our sporting heritage and our way of life outdoors. To join or for more information on how you can help, go to ussportsman.org. That's ussportsman.org.
Now you can own a brand new revolver with roots in the 1800s. The astounding North American Arms Ranger 2. A break-action, 5-shot, 22 Magnum mini revolver. Inspired by the Schofield Smith & Wesson of the 1870s, this 7-ounce Magnum revolver is fun to shoot and easy to carry every day. Historic style, high-tech, pocket precision. Check out the new Top Break Ranger 2 at NorthAmericanArms.com. NorthAmericanArms.com.
And from the Boston Globe, which just called for the widespread confiscation of firearms. Basically, I got to get rid of all the guns. That's got to be the solution, right? We have this brilliant piece of journalism. It does admit, it says tens of millions of semi-automatic assault-style weapons, meaningless term, are in the hands of our friends, neighbors, and countrymen. Yeah, and they don't do anything with it. They are legal, it says. The vast majority of them will never take a human life, yet these weapons have also made one particular type of crime, mass public shootings, vastly more deadly. It's a fact, it says. You can wait for it, here it comes. It's a fact that most gun deaths are suicides. But it's also true that places with more gun owners have more gun deaths. Wow! What would we do without this kind of insightful journalism? Places with trucks have more truck accidents. Places with cars have more car accidents. And places with gun owners have more gun deaths, yes, than places that don't have gun owners. Brilliant. And yet the average person reads that and goes, well, yeah, they have more gun deaths where they have more guns. sometimes my head just hurts. Let's see. Doug is in Medford, Oregon on 1. Doug, Second Amendment versus the First Amendment. What do we need to think about here?
Well, when you're talking to that guy who hates the Second Amendment and doesn't understand the word infringement, you need to give him concrete comparisons to take the current infringements, and there are millions of them across every state and federal, on current gun ownership, and say to him, well, look, consider this. If you're going to go out and speak in public or print something to be dispersed in public, you need to go down to the county sheriff's office and pay your $65 and get a background check and a permit to speak openly.
And wait, and you're going to have to submit your speech to the FBI for its approval.
That would be part of it when you get down to it. In Oregon, if one of the infringements in Oregon is a family member or a member of law enforcement or a doctor who thinks you might speak irresponsibly, can have your speech rights taken away from you without a warrant. They can come to your door and gag you permanently.
Because that's what they can do in that state with your gun rights.
They can do with your weapon, yes. Yeah. And they knock on the door. There's no warrant. There's no right to...
Basically, somebody dropped a dime on you. Just somebody called and said, I think this guy's a little off his rocker, and he has guns. Here we go.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a great point. Look, I appreciate the call. I got to keep moving, but yeah, I have pointed out comparing the Second and the First forever, and say, look, reporters, how would you like to have to get a permit before you could be a reporter? How would you like to have to submit to a background check before you could use a computer, and before you could use a cell phone, and before you could exercise your free speech rights? Of course, now there are universities now where they have free speech zones, and anywhere else on the university, you do not have free speech rights, and professors will come and shut you down if you start speaking about things they don't want you to speak about. Oh, gosh, it just drives me nuts. John's on 2 out of Grand Forks, North Dakota. John, things are different now. Talk to me.
Well, yeah, I don't believe the Second Amendment has changed, but evidently we have. And I use the example of from the mid-'60s to late '60s, that was my high school years, and we'd have about 3-4 classmates that duck hunted in fall. They'd go out early, come in for school, they'd store their shotguns in their hall lockers, and I remember one time one of the guys had bought a new shotgun, so it's after school, and the principal, they got it out of the case, and the principal's holding it and pointing it in the air, and they're visiting about it. And what I'm saying is the Second Amendment hasn't changed. We have, and what the heck has happened between that? That was not a big deal back then. So what's changed?
Well, let me ask you, do you think that there's any responsibility falls on the media for publicizing this and making these guys famous?
Yes, and also, much like racism, we have a liberal side of our country that is using that and guns as a political and righteous wedge to make the rest of us look, very dumb and
absolutely. Yeah, they denigrate, they ridicule, they shame, they marginalize. It's exactly what the left used to say there was a terrible thing to do to anybody of a race, but now we can do it to gun owners because that's a freebie. You can be biased and bigoted against gun owners, and that's a free shot as far as they're concerned. Because, of course, they would say, well, everybody knows that. Really? I think that's what people used to say about racism stuff, too. Yeah, I know. 866-TALK-GUN. This is Gun Talk, and I'm Tom Gresham. right, back with the 866 Talk Gun. Get you in here. Yeah, look at these stories from the Boston Globe, calling for widespread gun confiscation. That's where we're going now. Let's see. Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy says the time is now for Congress to shed its cowardly cover and do something. How many times this week did you hear that? Do something, do something. They don't know what to do. And nothing they propose actually accomplishes anything. Actually, Dianne Feinstein introduced a new, expanded, I guess they would call it a new and improved, so-called assault weapons ban. Basically, pretty much banning all semi-autos, all pistols, all rifles. Now, here's the thing that's interesting, is that we had a so-called assault weapons ban back in 94 to 2004. And there was a congressionally mandated study of the effects of that, because they wanted to say, how well did this work? And the study came out afterwards and said 10 years of the Bill Clinton gun ban accomplished absolutely zero. We could find no evidence of any reduction in crime. Kind of like the President Obama ordered study by the CDC of gun control laws, where they came out and said, we can find no evidence of gun control laws reducing crime. There is a bit of consistency here, is there not? Ken is on line 4, Bedford, Oregon. We've got a follow-up for us. Hey, Ken.
Hi there. I was able to contact HK on my VP9. I called you about 3 weeks ago and had a problem with it
wasn't ejecting, or something was going wrong. What was it?
It would eject the spent round, but it would not cycle the the new round in. It would stovepipe it.
Okay, that's right. I remember that.
And I called HK and spoke to a guy. They were real helpful. And basically what they told me is they came out with a new VP version. It's VP 40 that shoots the 40 cal versus the 9mm.
Right.
And they have a larger spring in the 40. And what they did is they are now putting that larger 40 spring in all of the new VP9s.
Oh. Did they send you a spring?
It's a different stiffness of spring.
Okay. Did they send you a spring?
No, actually what he asked me to do first was he said that you can either cycle in about 250 rounds of plus P ammo in the 9mm with a larger bullet to help break in that spring, or store it with the action open, compressing the spring.
Oh, interesting. So how'd it work?
So I did the compressing the spring and storing it. Unfortunately, I had a situation that kept me away. My wife passed away. And so it's been 3 weeks since I've been able to go to the range. And I went with my neighbor yesterday on Veterans Day, had a great time, met a bunch of other veterans. And I shot the first 50 rounds on a rest, and it cycled flawlessly. And then I shot the second 50 rounds holding it two-handed, and it cycled flawlessly. And then I shot the next 50 single-handed, strong arm ends, weak hand, and it cycled flawlessly.
Wow.
So the holding the action open and allowing it to compress that spring and kind of take some of the brand newness out of it seemed to help a ton.
Well, I really appreciate the follow-up. I'm very sorry for your loss. That is a terrible thing to hear, but thank you so much, Ken, for calling us and thinking of your family. Thank you for that call. Once again, and we've said this many, many times, when you have a problem with a gun, call the gun company. Call the people who made it. Chances are they have a solution. In this case, they didn't even have to send him anything. They just had a technique, a procedure for him to follow, which is pretty darn cool. That was slick. All right, when we come back, we're going to be talking to an author. Guy who used to be an anti-gunner. Now he's a pro-gunner, because I want to find out how that happened. But he has some interesting thoughts about how the left and the gun ban industry uses marketing and words and techniques to persuade the public. And what he tells you, you will recognize it, and you'll learn a lot from it. You don't want to miss this.